Welcome to Poland. Welcome to Telewizja Republika. Enes, what do you do here in Poland? What do you do in a Polish jersey in our studio?
First of all, thank you for having me. The reason I'm here is I'm the guest of Dunaj Dialogue Institute. They've been doing an unbelievable job bringing people together from different backgrounds, different colors, different religions. They organize around 70 events throughout the year, and I am one of the events. But, you know, the real reason here, why I'm here is because of I wanted to bring Polish kids and Turkish kids together to organize a free basketball camp. I'm not charging any money, just so you know, free basketball camp for kids. And we actually just did it a couple of days ago, and hundreds of people showed up. I didn't know, actually, they love basketball in Poland that much. So it was a great turnout, and I'm really excited about it.
Our viewers are not really deep into basketball, but they are deep in sports. So they probably don't know your story and how much your story is related to your name, freedom. I will ask you a question in a couple of seconds about that. But let me start with a question regarding your brother is a champion of Poland in basketball.
Yeah, in 2021-2022 season, he played in a team called, I cannot pronounce
Śląsk Wrocław.
Exactly. So he's actually been talking about it since then. He talks about how amazing the food is, the culture is, how people were so nice to him, you know? And then he was just every year, whenever my season was over, he was telling me, listen, man, you need to go to Poland. You need to taste those food. You need to have that culture. So finally here, you know, it took me 32 years to come here, but no, so far it's been an amazing experience.
And we met in a quite unusual place, as for people who adore and love basketball. Actually, that was an arena of very famous basketball team, which is Milwaukee Bucks. But it wasn't a basketball game, the reason why we met there. It was a Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Donald Trump, beginning of his official presidential campaign. As we talk right now, Donald Trump is president of United States. He's going to take office at the end of January. What was the reason why I met a tremendous, great basketball player on a political rally?
Well, it was actually the Bucks arena, and I remember I scored a lot of points in that arena. But, well, the reason I was here is because I'm an activist, and I go around and meet with leaders, political leaders, religious leaders, and the reason I was there that day is because I wanted to go around and shake hands and meet with people. I actually met with President Trump, you know, 3 weeks ago. We had a really good conversation about what can we do to make this country better together. I think that's the key word, together. We need a strong leadership in America, because unfortunately you see what's happening in all over the world. You know, unfortunately, all the dictators out there now is just because we have a weak leadership in America right now, they're taking advantage of that. I do think that when President Trump gets in office, he's going to take a very strong and I hope mean position to some of the dictatorships out there.
And it's very unusual and uncommon to hear this kind of obvious ideas. This is the way we view here in Poland the global situation right now for an NBA player. If we look at the social record of superstars of NBA today, like LeBron James, many other basketball celebrities, they wouldn't agree with you actually on anything. But you are the one who put your money and your career where your mouth is. You proved that you stand for something. Could you walk our viewers through your personal story, through the reasons why you are not playing NBA today? What happened?
Well, it's definitely a tough story. It all started back in Turkey. You know, I remember back in 2013, there was a huge corruption scandal happened in Turkey. President Erdogan and some of his family members were involved in it. And that was the first time I actually came out and said something, because he was going around and shutting down media outlets and putting innocent journalists in jail. So he was against freedom of speech. And just because I was an NBA player, it became a huge conversation in Turkey and also United States. And after that, I started to pay attention about what's going on in my country more and more. They put a lot of pressure on my family. You know, my family publicly had to disown me. the Turkish government didn't believe that. They came to my house and they raided the whole house and they took every electronics away, phones, computers, laptops, because they wanted to see if I am still in contact with my family or not. They couldn't find no evidence, but they still took my dad in jail for a while. But we put so much pressure. Actually, President Trump was in office. We put so much pressure from America to Turkey, they had to let him go. So far, they revoked my passport. They put my name on Interpol list. Just recently, they put a bounty on my head, $500,000. So it is unacceptable because people know my personal story because I play in NBA, but there are thousands and thousands of stories out there. They're way worse than mine. So many Turkish people right now in Turkish jails are getting tortured every day. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to use my platform to be the voice of all those innocent people out there who don't have a voice.
Enes, but your platform is not NBA anymore. And when we look back at this history, we know that there were at least some of issues that, for me, a man who just watches NBA since I was, 10 years old, 12 years old, it's something that breaks my heart in a way. Maybe not today, but if I view it from the perspective of a teenager or teenagers that watch NBA right now, this is a thing that is unacceptable in a way. James Harden and Houston Rockets had problems with China back in the days. You have problems with the Turkish government, but you are not in NBA anymore. Someone can argue that this is only an issue of sportsmanship, but it seems to me that it's not.
It's definitely not. So when I talk about the problems that are happening in Turkey, NBA really supported me. But when I started to speak up about, some of the problems that are happening in China and their abuses against, Uyghurs, Tibetans, Hong Kongers, or Taiwanese people, NBA just went crazy.
Why?
Because the relation between NBA and China is around $6 billion. More people watch NBA games in China than American population last year. So NBA, I'm sure you remember when all this Black Lives Matter protests were happening in America. So NBA was saying, talk about it. But when the conversation was about China, NBA was saying, do not say a word about it. This is hypocrisy. I wanted to expose the whole system when NBA was telling us to speak up about when the problems were happening in America, but when the conversation was about China, they said, do not say a word, because they want us to shut up and dribble.
That also influenced, because we are talking politics right now, basically money and politics, but you are probably not very familiar with the situation in Poland right now. We are in a station that is built by people. We are the second or the first biggest news station in Poland right now as we speak, but we are generally funded by people's money, not by government, not by political parties, not by big business. You are a tremendous basketball player, and you have also tough relations with the biggest sporting brands. What's the position of the big business regarding the issues that we talk about here?
It is huge. I mean, if you look at what's happening, say, for example, Nike, right? They stand with Black Lives Matter. They stand with LGBTQ community. They stand with no Asian hate, Latino community. But when it comes to slave labor, everybody knows about the sweatshops that are happening in China. I'm amazed at how you guys are, funded by people, but not by anyone else. That means no one can control you guys. That's what makes me happy. You guys can go out there and put the correct things out there, not any false narrative.
Do you know the reason for which, when we talk about the ideology in terms of the big business, in terms of the big sports, because you are a part of probably the biggest sports organization and the financial organization in the world. I'm a conservative journalist and I'm an amateur basketball player. It's very hard for me to find the brands of the great basketball, great basketball companies that refer to my beliefs, to Christianity. I'm a Christian, but to some fundamental lives of protecting the life of. What's the reason for this? What's your assessment of this?
I think for many businesses out there, all they care about is unfortunately, money in business. They do not care about their morals. They don't care about their values. They don't care about their principles. We need to start working with companies, organizations, and brands that is going to put morals over money, principles over business. And I'm sure there are many out there, but we just have to find it.
My final question, Anas, is a question of, and I want to come back to the things that you do. You refer to kids playing basketball. You refer to young guys that dream big about being one day a member of a great basketball team like Boston Celtics or Houston Rockets or any other brands. What's your message to those people? What should 10 years old do, or 11 years old do, or 5 years old do to be one day where you were?
Well, that's actually the reason I'm here. I mean, I had so many battles against Marcin Gortat. They used to call him Polish Hammer. And he inspired me. I think he was really into politics too, by the way. I don't know how much you know. I'm sure he's a good friend of yours.
He was a guest of our program one day.
Yes.
Years ago.
You know, that's the reason I'm here, actually. I want to open up a basketball academy here where we teach and inspire kids about basketball, but at the same time, we teach them about the importance of democracy, importance of freedom, especially freedom, because it's so fragile. In Turkey, we did have freedom. When Erdogan took over, it changed in a heartbeat. So if you take it for granted, it's very fragile. So we organize basketball camps around the world. Before we get on the court, we take those kids and we teach them about the importance of freedom, democracy, human rights, why we should care about each other, coexistence, why we should learn how to live together. The thing that I want to teach those kids is, it doesn't matter what your background is, your skin color, or whoever you are. We need to leave our differences on the table and try and find what we have in common. And we only have one world to live. So we need to make this world better together, and that's the key word, together.
Actually, I promise you that this is the final question, but I got one more. You've transferred your message to those young people, but what is your message to the people who are worried about their basic freedoms? We do have this kind of problems also in Poland. We do have problems with freedom of speech. Our TV station have this kind of problems. Certain individuals are having problems with the political freedoms as well. What's your message to people who worry about that?
I think, you know, after air, water, and food, the freedom is the most important thing that the human being can have. Do not take it for granted. And if you see a problem, speak up about it, you know? And because you're not only speaking out for yourself, you're speaking out for your whole nation. I don't know the political situation here in Poland. I just hope that they're not taking their freedom for granted.
Anas Freedom, basketball player and freedom fighter. Anas, thanks for your time. Thanks for your visit in Telewizja Republika. Anas Freedom, nasz gość w Telewizji Republika.